All right. Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's live stream. Um, yeah, it's going to be a good one. We're going to continue. So let me go here. Yeah, I was just checking out the new Webflow video. It's a really good one if you haven't seen it. It's on using um, kind of 3D properties to animate a card. It's a very great one. Very great one. Very good one. Hello everyone. My name is John, and welcome to today's live stream. I do these every Monday through Thursday. We go over everything Webflow. I cover how to build a website in Webflow. I field any questions from the chat, and yeah, it can be a good place to ask questions. And if you're new to Webflow, you can definitely join in and just send a message in chat. I can see that a few users are trickling in, and nice. So I just want to start off. If there's any questions, I don't want to just jump right into the design build today. I just kind of want to field any questions or any comments that anyone might have. And yeah, I'll start off by going over a few websites that I use for inspiration. So I'm kind of, let's see here, I have a list here. So there's this blog post by Webflow that's really great. It goes over a few websites that you can look at for inspiration. I'll post it here in chat. And yeah, if you're kind of deciding what you want to use for, or kind of, I can't find my words today. I don't know why. If you're looking for inspiration, this is a good blog post to read. And there's just a ton of great content online on different websites that you can look at to get inspiration. I myself like to go to codedrops.com. I feel like they're always on the verge of like the latest and greatest website animations and technology. So I like going to code drops and going to the playground. And one thing that I'm going to recreate in Webflow, if I can find it here, they have this really cool slider that we're going to recreate. I think it's this one. Yeah, so if we go here, we can see like this slider with the circle comes in, and it's just a really nice animation. So this is something I'm going to recreate in After Effects, and then we're going to add it into Webflow and recreate something like this. And this is another one. It's just really creative, and it's very simple actually. To create something like this wouldn't require a lot of effort, because we could just build it in After Effects and place it into Webflow. All right, so yeah. Just wanted to cover a few things I've been looking at. Cool. Wow, 8 viewers. That's pretty cool. So yeah, let me start building. We'll just jump right into the build from yesterday. So this is what we're working on, and this is what we have so far. So if you haven't been watching the previous videos, I'm basically recreating this website, this Figma file, and recreating it in Webflow. So Keenan wrote, hello, sorry if you've already mentioned this, but will you be reviewing art portfolio websites again? Yeah, I can review websites. I do kind of require a super chat for any portfolio reviews. A super chat, you can send whatever you want. It just helps support the channel. For any questions regarding your personal site, I do require super chats. If it's a general question about Webflow, I don't require a super chat. But yeah, it just helps support the channel for anything kind of personal that you want me to review or help with your personal projects. All right, thanks Keenan for the question. Yeah, so I'll just continue building this site, and as I'm building, if you have any questions, that's something that happened yesterday. I was building and someone had a question, and I went ahead and just answered it while I was building. And again, if you haven't checked out the new Webflow video, it's really great. It's exaggerate depth using Z-scale, and I might just quickly cover that here as well in this live session. Nice. So hopefully, yeah, I hope everyone's doing well. I can't find my words today for some reason, but that's okay. I'll try to be as articulate as I can in today's live stream. But yeah, so cool. So I'll continue. So today we're going to build this section. Actually, one thing I wanted to kind of fix real quick in today's video. So if anyone new who's watching, this is Webflow. I'm in Webflow right now. And yeah, so we're building out the site. So I want to fix this image here. I can see that it has a white border. So I don't want this white border. It just kind of throws everything off in the design. So I'll go ahead and just re-download this image. So I'll grab it in Figma and I'll export it. And we have it right here. So what I'm going to do, let me just do something like this. I'm going to hold Command A to select the entire thing. And then I'm just going to bring it in below this border. Something like this. Let me try to zoom in actually. So we get most of the image. Yeah, something like that. Cool. And then I'm going to hold down Command K to crop it. And I'm going to crop it a little more because there was some darker artifacts on the border. Command K. Not quite. All right. Hey man, no question. Just stopping by to show some love. Found your channel over lockdown and been a fan since. Thank you, Ann. Much appreciated. We're definitely going to cover a lot of cool things in these live streams. I'm also planning on doing more interaction videos. You know, so those will be a bit shorter and they'll just be like straight to the point as far as like creating an interaction. I know a lot of users liked my interaction videos. All right, so that looks good. The border is gone. I'll hit Command S to save, and nice. Then I'll just drag and drop that image into Webflow. So let me go to downloads. Let me just drag and drop, and nice. And then I'll just replace this image with this one. Cool. That's much better. That white border was throwing me off a bit. Yeah, so this looks good. And we could even do kind of that. That would be kind of cool, actually. We could do the effect that Webflow just showed in their new video. So exaggerate depth using Z-scale. So you can just go to the Webflow YouTube channel and check out their latest video. But let's go ahead and practice that animation now. So we have two images. So what I'll do is like when we hover over these images, we'll just have them rotate to the right. So that could be very cool. So what I'll do is I'll go to the features left, so the parent element, and I'll add under 2D and 3D transforms, I'll click these three dots to select the transform settings, and then I'll set the distance to 1000 pixels. So we have some children perspective. So we add some depth to the parent element. So that way we can rotate, we can scale the images within 3D space and rotate them within 3D space. So what I'll do is I'll select, let's see, yeah, I'll select this this image, and I'll add, let's see, yeah, let's experiment with this. So I'll move it forward on the Z axis. So on hover, let's see. Yeah, is that what I want to do? So let me see, features left, and let's go to add a 3D transform. Let's rotate it on the Y. And actually, let me pop this one out. So let me scale this on the Z axis. So we're going to move it 1.5, features left, and let's rotate it on the Y. Features left. Let me scale it on the Z axis to create add a children perspective to features left image. Yeah, that's what I did. Features left, children perspective. Yeah. Okay. I might have to rewatch the video. Here, let's try to move. Yeah, let's move it. Something like this. And then features left. Let me take this image. And let's move it backwards. Okay. And then yeah, it's not quite doing what I wanted to. Anyways, we'll come back to this. I'm not going to focus too much on this effect here. But yeah, you can see we can move elements in 3D space and just kind of create like this interesting effect. No, don't want to skew it. All right, we'll come back to that. I'm not going to spend too much time on that type of animation. But yeah, I recommend watching the Webflow video. Hello, Abi Fazal. Welcome. Cool. So let's continue to this this section here, the content section. So I'll go ahead in the navigator. So if we look at the structure of the site, we have the page wrapper. So everything's inside of the page wrapper. We have the hero section, which is up here, the hovering images section, and the feature section. So within the page wrapper, I'll go ahead and add another section. And I'll call this contents section. And I'll just copy, yeah, so in here, in the content section, let's add a div block, give it the class name container, and then I'll add this heading. I'll just copy and paste this heading in here, in the container, and this subheading in the container as well. So we'll just call this contents, and we'll grab this text. I've started learning Webflow last year and somehow looking for a tutorial regarding Webflow. I found your channel and you have made me from beginner to somewhat advanced level. Thank you so much. Yeah, happy to help. Hopefully I'm pronouncing your name correctly. Abil Fazal. Yeah, happy to help. If you have any questions during this live stream, feel free to ask. If you have questions about your personal project, definitely feel free to drop me a super chat and I'll be happy to take a look at your project or review any of your portfolios or any of your websites. But yeah, this is kind of like a space for questions and to continue to learn Webflow. And I promise I'll start articulating my words a bit better. So let's see, we have this text here. Let me go to inspect and just copy this text here and just paste. And that looks good. All right, so now we have these two cards on the left and the right. So I'll just check out the width and the height. So this card is 476 by 6, I'll just say 625. So let's go ahead and add those cards. So in the container, I'll add a div block and we're gonna call this cards wrapper or content cards wrapper. Let's set the width to 100%. And yeah, so let me bring up Miro. So I'm trying to use this a bit more to kind of demonstrate what I'm thinking. so for those cards, basically, we're gonna put them in a wrapper. So this is the cards wrapper I just created. So it's a div block, and I set it to 100%. And in here, we're gonna set the flex to horizontal. So flex horizontal. Okay, that's too long of a word. I'm drawing out the word. And then in here, we're gonna place the two cards. Okay. And then in the cards, we're gonna add the content. All right. I used to keep checking on your channel to see if you have made some new videos. So glad to have you back. And knowing that you are doing these live stream 5 days a week for free is just unbelievable. Yeah, thank you. For sure. Yeah, I feel like, Webflow is gaining traction. More users are using it. So I just wanted to provide a resource, kind of share the knowledge that I've gained with Webflow. And also having been a customer support representative at Webflow for a couple years, I just wanted to kind of share what I've learned with the Webflow community. I feel like there's so much to Webflow, and having that practice every day, I think will just make me more proficient, and hopefully this knowledge will help you as well to become more proficient in Webflow. There's so many little features that sometimes I'll be sharing information and someone will just say, hey, I never knew you could do that. And that's what I want to keep doing with this channel and with these videos, is just sharing little tips and tricks. And also, have this be like an open discussion. There's so much to web design and web development. There's no like cut and dry way of developing a site. I know, one of the biggest, I guess, variables with web design is like selecting how you want to design your containers, or how large you want to make your containers, or what units to use for the size of your containers. There's so many different units, viewports, percentages, pixels. There's no right or wrong way to approach a design, but yeah, hopefully as a, within the web design community, we can start fine-tuning these different ideas, so that when we do approach a build, we can say, hey, I want to use viewport units for this build, or I want to use pixels for this build. So yeah, that was just kind of just train of thought type of thing there. Yeah, so let me go ahead and add these cards. So the way I'm going to do this is, we added the wrapper, so I'll open up the navigator, so the content cards wrapper, and I'll go ahead and add the flex setting of flex horizontal align stretch, and we'll say justify center. Cool. And then in here, I'm going to hit Command K. So Command K is the quick find, and it allows us to add elements quickly. So here I'll add another div block. And for this, I'm going to set this to content. I'll give it the name content card. I'll say grow if possible. And then I'll just copy and paste this content card. And I'll set the background color to white. And I'll set the border radius. So let's see what the border radius is here. 10 pixels. So under, let's see, radius, we'll set it to 10 pixels. And then we'll add some margin from the left and the right. So I'll hold down Option on my keyboard and just add about 40 pixels of margin from the left and the right. Okay, so we have these two cards. Let me add some padding to the section. So I'm going to add about 200 pixels so we can scroll down and see this. I'll remove the padding later, but just so we can see this, actually I have a better idea. I'm going to add the padding to the page wrapper. I'm going to add about 200 pixels of padding. So as we're building the site, we're not touching the bottom of the browser here. We can kind of see what I'm working with. So we have these two cards, and let's go ahead and add the content in here. So we have the two cards here. So work, this is just some text, and so great. So for the content card, I'll give it a flex setting as well, and I'll say align top and justify center. And I'll hit Command K and I'll add a text block. And that looks good. And then we'll add a paragraph. And so for this content card, I want to set the direction to vertical instead of horizontal. Okay, so we have this paragraph. The text is white, so I'll go ahead and we'll restyle that in a sec. So let's go to the navigator. So we have a text block, a paragraph, and I'll add a button. Okay, and let me align center here. And then we have an image. Okay, so let's go ahead and style this text in here. So for the text block, I'll just say work. And let's look at the size. So 20 pixels by 30 pixels. Okay, so I'll say card title or content title. Content title. We're using Roboto for the font and the font weight of 500, size 20 pixels and 30 for the line height. And for this paragraph, I'll call this content paragraph. Let's go ahead and copy this text. And I'll paste it into here. And let's set the text to 333, so almost black. And the size for this paragraph is 16 and 24. Okay, and it's justified center or align center. And then we have this button here. So this button is similar to this button. So we'll just give it the same class name. So the class name is hero button. Let's go ahead and do that, hero button. And we'll just change the text here to sign up. And that looks good. So I'll just give this a combo class called sign up or contents, because we're in the content section. And then I'll just work with the margin and padding for this card. So I'll give this card some padding from the top and the bottom. So I'll hold down Option and just drag. So I'll give it about 40 pixels from the top and the bottom. For this content title, I'll give it about 40 pixels of margin to push down that text. And the same for, so this button, I'll give it, or the paragraph, I'll say 80 pixels. Christian Wiseman wrote, "Hey, thanks for the great tutorials, the templates, and the recent live events. It helped me a lot to find my way into Webflow. Keep up the great work." For sure. Happy to help, Christian. Definitely. Yeah, I appreciate all these comments. They definitely motivate me to continue to provide good content. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and copy or export this image here, this MacBook Pro image. And let's go down to export MacBook Pro. Let's take a look at it. Yep, perfect. And I'll just drag this image into Webflow. And we'll go ahead and add it from the assets panel. We'll drag and drop and just add it right in there. Image is high DPI. Very nice, because I exported it as 2 times from Figma. And for this button, let's add some margin from the bottom. So let's add about 80 pixels. And yeah, that might be too far away. So from this content, I'm going to add 60 pixels. And from this button, I'll add 60 pixels as well instead of 80. That looks good. Or 80 was good. Kind of give some breathing room to the image. And for this button, I'm going to add some more padding. Let's add like 40, maybe 60 pixels of padding. No, 40 is good. So whenever I'm adjusting padding or margin from just 2 sides, left and right or top and bottom, I hold down Option. If you want to adjust all sides, you would hold down Command. or is it command? No, it's shift. Yeah, shift to adjust all sides at once, and option to just adjust two sides. All right. So nice. That looks pretty good. Now I'm just gonna delete this card and then just copy and paste this card, and then just change the text. So design with real data. Double click. Design with real data. Is it okay? Cool. That's the same text, and this one's gonna say try for free. All right, and it's capital case. That looks good, and I'll go ahead and export this image. So I'll just grab it. Board's notification. I have two questions for you. Any specific reason why you don't use EM units, as I think they are quite useful when it comes to making the website responsive across all breakpoints? That's a great question. I have used REM and M units. Yeah, I think that is a good way to make the site responsive, and I would recommend it. I'm not going to dive too much into that whole concept, but I have used it before, and I think you're right. They're probably better than using pixels. I know REM uses the base font size of the browser, so that when you're using M's, yeah, like let's say the REM unit is 16 pixels, or the browser's using 16 pixels for the base font size, and you use M units. Well, the M units will be relative to the base font size. So I'll just type in REM and M units. But you're right, Abil. That's a really good point. And yeah, so yeah, I would just recommend doing kind of like a search on M and REM units. There's a great book that I read that I highly recommend. Typography. I'll just type typography ebook. Yeah, I'll try to find it, but I highly recommend. Once I find it, I'll kind of recommend it. Typography, web typography ebook. Better web type. I think this is it. Yep. So if you want to really get deep into typography units and what the best units are, this is the book to read. You know, he says it's not a book, it's a PDF. But he goes over everything, you know, VH units, REM units, M units. To me, it's a whole nother world. I might get more into it so I can explain to the community more about REM and M units. But it kind of goes back to what I was saying at the beginning of this chat, that, you know, we could do like a month course on just the different units and how to use the different units. So yeah, I recommend reading this book. It's a really good book, and it'll just level up your knowledge on the different units that you can use for typography. For now, I'm just going to stick to pixels for this build, and I might cover REM and M units a little bit later on at the end of this build. Christian Abel wrote, I don't know how to use After Effects to create Lottie animations. Any other alternative that you can suggest? I know there's some SVG websites that allow you to make quick animations. So SVG animators or something like that. SVGgator. I think this is the one. SVGgator.com. No, this must not be it. That was weird. SVGgator right here. Okay, cool. So SVGgator, yeah, like you can create crazy animations like this, or really cool animations like this. And this could be a fun thing that I start working with. So let me know if you want me to start working with SVG Gator, because we can quickly animate SVGs and then just drag and drop them into Webflow. So rather than using After Effects, this could be another. I'm gonna go ahead and bookmark this, so that we could possibly start working with this, and it could be a much easier way to build animated SVGs in Webflow. Yeah, and if you want to learn how to use After Effects a little bit more, I do have a few videos on my YouTube channel where I kind of go over building Lottie animations in After Effects. Cool. So I'll go ahead and, so Christian wrote, I also bought one of your templates recently and love to work with it. I do have one probably silly question. Would this be the right place to ask maybe at the end of your session, or would writing a mail be a better option? So Christian, yeah, definitely feel free to ask here. Yeah, if it's about your personal project, then I do kind of require super chat. You know, whatever you want to give me is fine. The super chat function is right in chat. You can just, you know, drop whatever you want, and it just helps support the channel. And I view it as kind of like a service. If you have questions about your personal projects, if it's about my template, you know, maybe not, because I do want to support my templates. But if you just want to throw me something, then I'd be happy to check it out. Abel wrote, hey man, oh, hey Deshaun, how's it going? Abel wrote, you pronounced my name correctly. I'll let you do the stream now. And thank you once again for responding to all my questions. Absolutely. I actually encourage questions. I'm happy to make this more of a discussion. You know, even as I'm building, you know, questions are encouraged. That's the word. Christian wrote, you can even animate in Photoshop, but not sure how the export for Webflow would work. You can animate in Photoshop. I recommend more After Effects, because After Effects deals better with paths, and for Lottie animations, you want your animations to be in paths. But I would highly recommend to use After Effects and invest in time. It's worth the effort for sure. Thanks, Christian. Manuel, hey, yeah, showing SVGgator a bit would be great. Absolutely. I'll start playing with it. It could be much better than After Effects. Let's check out the pricing. I think it does cost something. Free forever. So unlimited static exports, 3 animations, timeline up to 10 seconds, basic animators. That sounds awesome. So we'll start with free, and we'll build some Lottie animations. For sure. Nice. This is getting exciting. Cool. So where was I? I was in the Figma. I was going to export this. Yeah, so export board notifications. And let's go ahead and drag and drop into the assets panel. So yeah, let's jump into SVGgator tomorrow. Let's do that. So I'll drag and drop the board notifications, and I'll just replace this image with this one. Bam. So one thing I don't like is that these buttons are not aligned, and even in the Figma file, they're not aligned. So we can see there's like a diagonal thing going on here. So Abel wrote, thank you, Christian. Yeah, I'll see if I can start with After Effects as I'm on a tight schedule, but yeah, it would be great showing SVGgator. Yeah, I will cover SVGgator tomorrow. We'll learn together. How's that? And we'll all become super experts at SVGgator and build amazing animations in Webflow. I love that idea. So one thing for me, I love animations. So the more we get into animations, the better. Like, I love making things really smooth, and I really like that Webflow allows for Lottie animations. It makes it really easy to build super cool websites with Lottie. So yeah, that'll be fun. So I'll set up an account with SVGgator, and tomorrow we'll cover SVGgator, definitely. So yeah, back to this. I was kind of mentioning that I don't like that these aren't aligned. So I'll go ahead and change the flex setting to see if we can get these buttons aligned. And let's see, content card. Let's see. So let's align it to the top. Yeah. So rather than align, or let's see if we can do justify space between. Nope, don't like that. Justify. Yeah, so justify top seems the best way to go here, because I want these buttons to be aligned, and then I'll just add some more padding to the top, about, let's do 80 pixels of padding from the top. And for these images, yeah, let's say I want these images to be aligned. So let me see, alignment order. Okay. Vertical. Yeah, I want this image to go to the bottom. So let's see. Okay, that looks good. And I was quite blown away when he showed site like SVGgator exists. Internet is amazing. Yeah, it is. Like, if there's something you want to do, basically there's like an app for it, or there's so many different unique applications that can be used for web design. And I'll cover more the applications that I'm familiar with that could help with the web design process. Okay, so this image, that's not bad actually. So if I preview, yeah, I don't mind that. I kind of want these images to be aligned a bit more, but we'll come back to that. So yeah, I'm liking these cards. For this content cards wrapper, I'm just going to add some margin to the top, so maybe like 80. And then for this content section, let's add some padding. Let's do 80 as well. Or let's do like 140. Yeah. All right, that's looking good. So we have these two cards, and I'm liking it. So yeah, the site's looking pretty good. So one thing I did actually before this live stream, I just did this hover animation. So the way it hovers is like it goes first, second, and third, and they just hover kind of in a sequence, just to give it, a bit more of a dynamic feel to the site. Then we have this section that looks good, and then we have this section. All right, so let's move on to the gallery section. This should be fun. Yeah, this one looks cool. Yeah, so let's go ahead and add the gallery section. So let me collapse this. So in the page wrapper, hit Command K, I'll add a section, and I'll call this gallery section. And again, I'm just going to copy, or actually in the section, let's add a div block, call it container. And in here, we'll just copy and paste the heading and the subheading. And then we'll call it gallery. And I'll just copy this text here. Right here. And we'll paste in here. And then for the section, the gallery section, I'll go ahead and give it some padding, 140. And so we have this this grid of images. So here's the question. It is not a question regarding a personal project, but a general question about one animation within the template. When the menu animates in, I can't find the animation for the buttons. They animate in from the right to the left. What's the template, Christian? Yeah, no, I'd be happy to help. We can cover that right now. If it's a template, I will definitely help. Yeah, right here in the live stream. Is it the videographer template? And I know, so the few templates that I have on my YouTube channel, I actually have to update this. I have 2 places where you can find my templates, but the main place where the templates are going to be found is actually on the Webflow site, because I am a template developer for Webflow, the videographer template. Okay, so let's go ahead and view the template. Let's preview in the designer. And so the question was, when the menu animates in, I can't find the animation for the buttons. They animate in from right to left. Okay. So right to left, these buttons. Okay, let's bring in the menu. Excuse me. Yeah, so let me double click into the symbol and the menu. So the menu right now is at 100%, so let's change it to 0% so we can see it. Are you referring to these, Christian? These nav links? So when the menu animates in, I can't find the animation for the buttons. They animate in from right to left. So yeah, these are the buttons. Yeah, these are the buttons here, and the interaction is applied to the nav link. So you can select nav link here on the bottom, or here in the navigator. So let me just backtrack a little bit. So let me refresh. I love how Webflow lets you see read-only links. It's really cool. So let's go into the navigator. So first I'll double click into the header, and then in the header we'll select the menu. For the position, we'll set it to 0%, so the menu comes in. Then in the menu, we have the nav links right in here, and then the interaction is applied to the nav links. So then we go into the interaction here, and then so let's see, let's go in, and oh, I see, okay. That interaction is actually, so let me refresh again. That interaction is, yeah, let's see. Yeah, so that interaction happens when we open the menu. So let's double click in here. Let's select the menu button. So it's the interaction that's applied to the menu button. Then we'll go to interactions here, and we'll go to the mouse click or tap. So I'll click, and then it's the menu button on click. So I'll select it, and then we're targeting the link text, I believe. Let me go into here. Yeah, the link text in the nav. So here we can see we're moving it initially from 30%. So it moves, it's the opacity is set to 0, so we don't see it initially. And then it's set 30% to the right. The interaction is actually hidden. Yeah. Nice. So yeah, initially we're moving it. It's 30% to the right with this option here, and then we move it to 0%, or yeah, move it to 0% here, right? So the interaction is the one that's applied to the menu button, and it's called menu button on click. So let me know if that clarifies. If not, I can go kind of deeper into the interaction. And yeah, it's being applied to the 3 different nav links because I believe, yeah, there's a delay. So if we preview the site, and let me view the site in the browser. If we preview the site, they come in a staggered motion. So that's why, like, if you look, you can kind of click through and see which link text is applied to which nav link. So just to recap, the initial state for the nav links or the link text is 30% to the right with an opacity of 0. And then we have it animate in. So it moves from right to left, and the opacity changes to 100%. All right, hopefully that clarified. Let me know, Christian. If not, I can dive deeper into it. All right, very cool. So I'll go ahead and continue this build. Let's try to finish out these images here in this Figma file. So I'm going to try to select all these images. Let's see if I can. No, it's not going to let me. Or maybe it will. Let's see. Great, that helps a lot. Thanks. I just couldn't find it and thought it would be applied to the nav link itself. Yeah, I can see how that that would cause a little bit of confusion. For the nav links, it's actually it controls the image interaction. So when we hover over the nav links, we're changing out the image. Cool. All right. Nice. Okay, cool. So yeah, let's go ahead and let me see if I can export all of these images at once. So I'm holding down Shift in Figma. And let's see. Nope. It's not going to let me do that. Or maybe it will. Export 4 layers. Let's see what it did here. Sweet. Oh, wait a sec. Yeah, I don't want it to export the images with the border radius. So we'll just do each image one by one. Add 2 times, export rectangle. Export rectangle. Oh, I exported that twice. Export rectangle and export rectangle. And then for these, export rectangle, export rectangle, and export rectangle. Cool. All right, so let me just find those images and drag and drop. And downloads. And let me view this as icons. So I exported one image twice. Yes, it was this one. Okay, let me just grab these and bring them into Webflow. Let's check the size of these actually, make sure that they're compressed. Yeah, that's pretty good. I like to keep the image sizes around 300 kilobytes. One is 482. If you have really large images, you definitely want to use something like compress PNG or compress JPEG to reduce the size of your images. All right, so I'll go ahead and drag and drop these into the assets panel. And so for this design, I'm going to use 2 div blocks. Yeah, 2 div blocks and yeah. So I'm going to use 1 div block. So let's go into Miro and let me select all this and delete. So for this, I'll use a wrapper. So I'm going to wrap those 2 rows in a div block. So then we'll add another div block in here and another div block here. And then this one will have 4 images added. And this one will have 3. All right. Cool. So let's go into Webflow. Nice, cool. So I'll hit Command K, add a div block. We'll set the size to 100% or the width. And then in here, yeah, let's call it gallery first row. No, this is a gallery wrapper. And then in here, we'll add another div block, and I'll call this gallery first row. And I'll add a div block, and we'll call this image wrapper. Let's try that, image wrapper. No, let's call this gallery image wrapper. Okay. And then for the gallery first row, I'm going to give it a flex setting of flex, horizontal, align stretch, and justify start. And then for the gallery image wrapper, I'm going to say grow if possible. And I'm going to go ahead and add an image here. So let's look at this one. So I'll go ahead and add this image and set it as high DPI. That looks good. And I'll go ahead and copy this image wrapper 4 times. So hit Command C, copy and paste. Okay. So for the gallery first row, let's set it to center. Oh wait. Let's see here, gallery image wrapper. Gallery image wrapper. Yeah, for the image wrapper, let's set this to flex and center. Okay, and then we'll just replace each image. So let's see, so this one, and was it this one? Yep, and this one. Okay, so then I'll select the gallery image wrapper, and let's see, I'm actually going to give this the width. This is interesting. Yeah, I'm going to set it the same width as the image. So the image is 225. So for the gallery image wrapper, I'm going to set the width to not set the sizing to grow if possible, but set it to 225 pixels. And then for the first row, I'll set it to center. And then for the image wrapper, I'm going to add some margin to the left and the right to, let's say, about 20. And the reason I'm doing this is, I'll showcase this in a second. So for the gallery image wrapper, we want to give it a border radius. So let's check what the border radius is here. It's 12 pixels. So for the, or actually, can I apply the radius to the actual image? I can. Okay, so undo that. So we don't have to set a specific width to the image wrapper. We're just going to apply the radius to the image. So I'll just call this gallery image, and we'll apply a 12 pixel radius to the image. Okay, so there we go. And nice, that looks good. So yeah, it's looking so far so good. I'm liking it. So now let's go ahead and copy this first row, copy and paste, and I'll select it and just duplicate this class and call this gallery second row. And I'll delete this last image here and just add the 3 images down here. So replace, it's this one, replace with this one, and replace with this one. All right, so yeah, cool. And I guess after copying and pasting, we have to uncheck image is high DPI and then recheck it so it grabs the right size from the image. All right, so then for the second row, actually for the top one, I don't know if this is a particular thing that I like to do, but when applying margin, I like to apply bottom margin. You could do either way. You could do top, like I could select this second row and apply top margin, but just to keep it consistent, I like applying bottom margin and pushing elements below the top element. So going from the top to the bottom rather than the bottom to the top. So I'll select the gallery first row and I'll add, let's say 40 pixels. Yeah, that looks good. And boom. And then for the subheading, yeah, I'll give it a combo class of gallery, and we'll apply 60 pixels, or maybe 80 pixels. Okay, so that part is done. And then we have a button that says see more. Okay, so gallery, contents, features. Yeah, that looks good. Yeah, so for the button, I'm just gonna copy this login button and paste it in the container. One more time. Oh, that button is okay. So let's yeah, the container, paste that button, and I'll call this, give it a combo class of gallery and a position of relative rather than absolute. And then for the second gallery second row, let's add some bottom margin of like 40 pixels, maybe 60. All right, so we have the button there. That looks good. And we'll call this see more. All right, so the gallery section is done. Awesome. So we have features. Let's zoom out here. Yeah, features. And let me make sure that the padding on each section is consistent. So this one, no, that one's fine. So features, we added a heading here. So let me see something. So content has a padding of 140. So let me do the same here for this one, 140. And yeah, that looks good. And this one, 140. Okay. So features, yeah, it looks good. Contents and gallery. Very nice. All right, so hopefully we're all learning something. This is a fun build. I know I'm going a little bit fast, but you know, if there's anything that was confusing as I was building, feel free to ask. But the site is coming along. I like that I took that border off this image that was throwing me off pretty bad. And these buttons are aligned. I like that. We have the gallery. Boom. And nice. So the next section we'll build is this partner section. This one's going to be fairly easy. So again, we're just going to copy and paste the H2 heading and the subheading. And then this is literally just a div block with logos in it, and then we'll just copy the button. So this will probably take like less than 5 minutes to create. Testimonials will be fun. We'll create kind of a little grid here. So there's going to be 2 columns, so a column on the left and a column on the right. And yeah, we'll add those testimonials. Then this is just an image, which is cool. Is it automatically responsive? Great question. So let's go to tablet and see what our responsiveness is looking like. So this first section is okay. For this menu button, actually we'll work on that a little bit later. But I made this responsive yesterday, this feature section. Let's go down to contents. So because we're using Flexbox, it makes it really easy to make this responsive. So I can just select the contents card wrapper and let me look at this card. Oh, yeah, let me add some margin. Let me go to the desktop. Yeah, for the card, I want to add margin to the right as well to make it even. All right, cool. So much better. And then let's do 20. No. Let's call this 2. Let's give it a combo class of 2. And I'll say 20 and 20 from the right. All right, cool. No, should be 40 from the right. 40 and 20 from the left. Yeah, there we go. Yeah, I was just adjusting the spacing there. So because it's Flexbox, we can go to tablet. So great question, Felipe. So what I'm going to do here for the content cards wrapper, rather than a display setting of horizontal, I'm going to change it to vertical. And just like that, we have kind of a better card. So this is why I like to use wrappers, because by wrapping elements inside of a larger element, we can then adjust the flex setting to make it easily responsive on smaller devices. So here for the content card, I'm just gonna remove the margin from the right and the left, and the same for this one. And then I can add some margin to the bottom, like 40. And I can also, let me just add some margin to the left and the right. I'll do 40 to make the cards a little bit smaller. Same for this one, 40. And just like that, we have a responsive card. Cool. And then we can go to mobile landscape. That looks good to me. I would make this image smaller, so I would just change the width to maybe 80% for both of these images. And I'll call this card or content card image. And then here, give it the same class name to make it a little bit smaller. Okay. And then in here, so here for this, I'm just going to set the width or remove the margin 0% and 0%. And then for the container, for the padding, I will just change it to 20 for mobile, because we don't need that much margin on mobile. 0 and 0. Cool. So that doesn't look bad. And then for this, let me go to tablet. So for this, I would just go into the gallery image wrapper and set it to vertical. Oops. No, the gallery first row. Set it to vertical instead of horizontal. And for this, I might do something like wrap. Let's try that, wrap. And then for the gallery image wrapper, I would set it to something like 50%. Or maybe 45%. No, 50%. And it should be wrapping. Let me set it to horizontal. Yeah, horizontal. Gallery image wrapper. Oh, sizing, let me change shrink if needed. Yeah, that's better. So now we have kind of this grid of images. Yeah, it looks pretty good. And then I would just add some margin here to the bottom of like 40. Something like that. Yeah, I would work with this so it looks better. And the same with this. For this, I would probably just, I'll give this a combo class of, oh no, the second row, I would say vertical and then align center. Yeah, something like this doesn't look bad. You know, it all depends on kind of the design you're going for, but yeah, we can adjust the images so it fits better on tablet. And then when we go to mobile landscape, that still looks good. I kind of like that. That's not bad. And then, yeah, I would kind of work with this here. So on mobile landscape, I would just remove the wrap here. I would say don't wrap. And gallery first row, set it to vertical and center. So then all the images are just vertically centered down. And then I would, let's see, gallery image wrapper, second row, gallery wrapper. Kind of want these images to be a bit bigger, so let's see, gallery image wrapper. Let's try to set this, oh yeah, rather than 50%, I would set this to 100%. There we go. And bam. So the images are larger here. And that looks good there. Looks good. And then we have desktop. Yeah, so we're already making the site responsive, which is a lot of fun. And cool. Yeah, so we're past 1 o'clock. Any last questions? I'll wait a few minutes for any last questions. And yeah, so tomorrow we're going to go over SVGgator. That's going to be a lot of fun. I'm not sure if I'm going to do this today, but I might create a video on how to create this interaction. And maybe I can do it in SVGgator. So I'll try in SVGgator, and if possible, we'll build out this interaction and then build out a slider in Webflow that does this. All right. Cool. So I'll wait a few more minutes because there is a delay in the chat. And yeah, maybe at one point I'll start getting into like rem units and m units and kind of showcase how that works. I'll do a bit more research on my end just so I can provide some good information in the live stream on rem and m units. All right, cool. So I think I'm going to end the stream. Thank you, Felipe. Thank you, Christian. Thank you, Abil Fazal. Appreciate the questions. Definitely makes the stream more interactive. Thank you, Keenan, for your comments as well. And cool. So yeah, so tomorrow should be a fun one. We're going to build some cool animations in SVGgator and build a bit more in Webflow. Awesome. Thanks everyone for watching, and I will see you tomorrow. Thank you.